what's happening?
The crackling's what's happening.
Pop Rock says bang to the bite.
There were three kinds of kids in the 70s. Ones that ate Pop Rocks, ones that ate space dust, and the other ones had parents that wouldn't let them eat either, fearing their stomach would explode or it would lead them to doing hard drugs. Although the popping candy wouldn't hit the market until the 70s, its origin dates back to the late 50s. That's when chemist William Mitchell was working on a self-carbonated soda drink tablet for General Foods. He found if he added water to his formula, it would get a fizzy popping result. His plan for the self-carbonated tablet was a failure. In 1961, he would patent the formula, which would become known later as Pop Rocks. But this wasn't his only patent. He would also patent classics such as Cool Whip and Tang. As for Pop Rocks, it was pretty simple. Baking soda, citric acid, carbon dioxide, and sugar for flavor. What kids wouldn't love those ingredients? Word about William's crazy popping candy made it around the office. Everyone wanted it. Well, that was most of the food geeks anyway at General Foods. If one of them was having a birthday party for their kid, they would ask Williams to make a batch for the party, and Williams gladly did. General Foods, however, felt there was no market for the popping candy. After all, they were into selling cereal and boring dry food. One of the higher-ups would tell Williams that the popping candy was nice, but would then tell him to get on to making something more useful. So he moved on and went to work on other things, and the pop candy was mostly forgotten about. That was until the groovy 70s, when Herman Nerf was hired as General Foods' new vice president. When Williams met Herman, he offered him some of the silly popping candy. Herman knew kids would flip out over it, and he ordered him to make a batch. In 1974, almost 20 years after Williams first made the candy, Pop Rocks was launched, but it was unnamed and free to kids. They came up with a plan to pack a small pack of Pop Rocks, still unnamed, packed free inside of a bag of chips. A year later, General Food would do a focus group, meeting with kids, and found out they went crazy for the popping candy. But the candy still had no official name, and quickly General Food started to try to find the right name to fit it. Exploding Treats sounded too dangerous. Pop and Snap sounded too sweet. And when the focus group kids got to vote, they loved Pop Rocks. General Food would rush to get Pop Rocks into production, mostly due to the fact that the patent was going to run out in 1978. Pop Rocks would hit stores in 1976 in a little pouch, first being released in the Midwest and then moving east, costing only 15 cents a pack. Pop Rocks was a hit. Kids were buying it, and the kids were buying more to show their friends, and those friends would buy more to show their friends. For 1976 and 1977, they would make over $150 million just in popping candy. They were in such demand that it was rumored that kids were buying them up and reselling them to their friends at double the cost. General Food knew they had a hit on their hands, so why not make more money? So they would crush up Pop Rocks and repackage them as powder candy called Space Dust. However, the success of popping candy would not last long. By the early 80s, both of the candies would see a decline in sales due to parents' fears of harm.
Visitors from outer space.
We come in peace to bring you terrific tasting Space Dust sizzling candy.
Space dust?
Wait till you experience the sizzle of galactic grape, orbiting orange, and cosmic cherry flavors.
Wow, the cherry tastes delicious!
I'm sizzling great.
Space Dust sizzling candy. In your mouth, it's out of this world.
Far out.
Space Dust, available in outer space or your local store.
For Pop Rocks, it was a rumor that Mikey, the life cereal eating kid, had died from mixing Pop Rocks and Coca-Cola. General Foods was flooded with calls from worried parents. They would come up with a plan to call schools and talk to the principal to let them know there was no truth to the rumor. They even planned to do a commercial with Mikey himself. However, his parents would refuse, mostly not wanting to make their child part of the rumor more than he already was, and that they were still under contract with Life Cereal, who was still running the ads. General Foods would take out a full ad in 45 major newspapers telling everyone there was no harm in eating Pop Rocks, and all that may come from it was a big burp. However, sales of Pop Rocks started to tank. As for Space Dust, it was having its own different issue with parents. The name Space Dust seemed a little too close to the drug Angel Dust. This started a rumor that it was harmful for kids and would lead them into trying to do Angel Dust. General Food would quickly change its name to Cosmic Candy, and it would run a full-page ad in newspapers also, telling parents it was safe. Sadly, it didn't work, and like Pop Rocks, it was discontinued. There were so many unsold packs of popping frizzy candy that General Food had to bury it in a landfill. Some insiders have said the decline of sales wasn't due to the rumors, but that the candy was just a fad that had faded out. General Food would sell off its Pop Rocks brand and it would return to stores a few years later. As for Stardust, or cosmic candy, it sadly disappeared from candy stores everywhere. Which is a shame, because if you ask me, or you asked me as a kid back then, I preferred Space Dust over Pop Rocks. What about you? Which one did you enjoy the most?
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.